there's a complex amount of thinking that gets you to that conclusion.
There's a mountain of thinking behind what I'm saying, and it includes things like the use, part of our response to coronavirus is to use cleaners like Quaternary Ammonia Compounds. I interviewed Terry Rubik on Unbreaking Science, and she's the lady who, with colleagues, did the studies that showed that Quaternary ammonium compound cleaners, or quats, actually lead to neural tube defects in 15% of the mice that survive to birth. Wow. And it could be fed or ambient exposure in the nesting material. And she discovered this quite by accident. It's a fascinating thing where she was studying the effects of valproic acid on neural tube defects. And her control group started developing out of the blue neural tube defects. And the people cleaning the laboratory had changed cleaners. She tracked it down to that. The ambient exposure to quats, and they accumulate in the environment over time. They're long-lived. They accumulate on surfaces. They're very sticky. It's hard to get off with cleaners. They accumulate in the environment. Just ambient exposure is so strong that to stop the neural tube defects, she had to relocate her lab completely. Because once they cleaned that lab with it, they were getting neural tube defects and they couldn't stop in the control group. Wow. So she relocated her lab. She went back to the original lab and did experiments there since the quats were already there to study quats. And she exposed these mice to quats, so the valproic acid studied science had to leave. She exposed mice to quats during pregnancy and before pregnancy. And if you're growing up as a mouse and you're exposed to quats, there's a 50% reduction in your fertility if you're male, 50% reduction of fertility if you're female, and it lasts for 2 generations. Oh, these are epigenetic effects.
These are the cleaners that are being used now for the sterilization to try to protect us.
They are. This is probably the third most important thing that we can do to stop the destruction by our response. We're doing it to ourselves of Western civilization. Is to go to the EPA website and find out which cleaners are there that will kill COVID-19 virus if it's in the environment that do not contain quats and quacks. It's really super important that we not use them in schools. And so contact your school board, contact the janitor at your school. Every time I'm in a restaurant, if I can find it, I look for the cleaner. If they bring it to the table, I ask for it. I was at a restaurant that was a buffet, which, believe it or not, during COVID-19, I found one that you could go find and have a buffet. But I noticed the bottle on a table, and I walked over, and I picked it up, and sure enough, it was Quaternary Ammonium Compound. And I asked for the manager, and I said, just to let you know, I'm a research scientist. I told her the story. She said, oh my gosh, okay, thank you. We're going to talk to the hotels that are cleaning the lobby and the coffee areas. We need to stop quads completely.
And I'm wondering maybe we could even maybe pass out a list subsequent of what these cleaners might be. But so if I'm an average consumer, I don't have a background in chemistry or biochemistry, but I want to try to assess this for my family's safety. What am I looking for in the label exactly?
Well, you're looking for the word Quaternary Ammonium Compound or ammonium chloride. These are the terms that you're looking for. Quaternary being Quaterneary. Ammonium compound, that's probably easier for people to remember, but the Q word is there too. Just look for them. Look in your home now, today. Get them out of your home. They don't need any particular safe removal, but by law. But if you dump it down the drain, you're going to be putting quats in the environment, and that's a concern. See, Terry Rubik went out to California to talk to the environmental officials out there about this, and the company sent their scientists. And the committee decided that it's probably not strong enough evidence that there's a problem with humans. Why? Well, because there had been no studies in humans, this kind of reasoning. But they did agree that there might be a problem if you dump it down the drain into the environment, because it could happen to cause infertility problems with animals in the wild. So if they're willing to admit that, just remember that you're both a human being and a primate is a mammal, and you are susceptible. And it's very important that we get these quats out of our existence completely. I would go to EPA.gov and I would look up the coronavirus killing cleaners, and then it's totally EPA approved to use quats. So the answer, well, the EPA says it's safe, is not an answer. And this is the attitude we have to take. We should no longer wait for the government to tell us how to think. The government is actually controlled by and run by corporations that profit massively due to these catastrophes, disaster capitalism. And so they're, of course, they're going to tell you that it's safe. It's a done deal that they're going to tell you it's safe. And so find other cleaners, or just use natural cleaners you've always been using. I'm not going to make any claims about their ability to kill coronavirus, but take a good look at the EPA list. And I would be careful, actually, about listing the companies, the cleaners that contain quats, because if you name them, then you could say that you have to show that they're unsafe in a court of law. And just list the ones that don't. It's very simple. Just list, here are the ones that if you don't want to use quats, here's the ones you should use. That way you don't.
That's a safer way to do it.